Welcome to Vivid Verses. If our words resonate with you, please subscribe, tap the like, and share your thoughts and your feelings in the comments. Now let's begin. The situation with Vanessa didn't degrade overnight. It was a slow, incremental erosion of respect, like rust eating through a structural beam. You don't notice the integrity loss until you put a load on it and hear the metal scream. To understand how I ended up faking a financial collapse to get a divorce, you have to understand the baseline architecture of our marriage. You have to understand the dumb husband protocol she was running. I'm a back-end systems architect. Specifically, I design low-latency execution algorithms for high-frequency trading firms. My work is invisible. It lives in server farms in New Jersey and creates value in microseconds. To the naked eye, it looks like a man sitting in a Herman Miller chair, staring at a monitor filled with cascading text, occasionally typing 3 lines of code, and then staring for another 40 minutes. To Vanessa, this wasn't work. This was playing on the computer. Because I didn't come home with grease under my fingernails or a suit that smelled like commuter train sweat, she categorized my career as a hobby that luckily paid the bills. She worked in PR, a world entirely built on perception, optics, and social maneuvering. In her world, if you aren't talking, you aren't working. If you aren't managing people, you aren't powerful. I barely speak during the day. I run simulations in my head. I optimize logic gates. When I finish a shift, my brain is fried, but my verbal centers are dormant. I'm quiet. She interpreted this silence as a vacancy. The narrative started small. We'd be at dinner with her friends, couples who worked in marketing, real estate, general corporate management. Someone would ask what I was working on. I'm optimizing a sharding protocol for a decentralized ledger. I'd start to say. Vanessa would cut in, placing a hand on my forearm. A pat. The kind you give a dog. He's doing his computer thing. It's like a video game, but with numbers. He gets so lost in it. I have to remind him to eat. The table would chuckle. I'd shut my mouth. It wasn't worth the energy to correct her. Correcting her required explaining the difference between a game engine and a liquidity bridge, and by the time I finished, their eyes would glaze over anyway. So I took the path of least resistance. I let her have the joke, but the joke calcified into a reality for her. She began to treat me like a high-functioning dependent. If we were going out, she'd lay my clothes on the bed. Wear the navy shirt, Nathan. The gray one makes you look washed out. If I tried to tell a story at a party, she'd interrupt to fix the details, usually getting them wrong, but making the story more dramatic. He says he got lost, but really he was just too stubborn to use the GPS man, right? I never got lost. I had taken a deliberate detour to check a potential real estate listing, but she hadn't listened when I explained that in the car. I tracked the data. I kept a mental log of the disrespect. It wasn't emotional for me. It was strictly observational. I wanted to see if the trend line was reversible. It wasn't. The pivot point, the moment I stopped observing and started planning, came when she decided I was too incompetent to handle my own money. My wealth is premarital. I sold a proprietary compression algorithm to a streaming giant in my 20s. That capital sits in a diversified portfolio of trusts and brokerage accounts. It's substantial. We signed a prenup. It was standard. What's mine is mine. What's yours is yours. What we make together is ours. Vanessa never liked the prenup, but she signed it because she thought I was a computer genius back then. Over 5 years, as she convinced herself I was actually a social invalid, she decided the money was in danger. She started small. You forgot to transfer the utility money to the joint account until the day it was due, she said one evening. It's on autopay, Ness. It transfers on the 15th. It cuts it too close. It makes me anxious. You're so scattered lately. You're always staring at those screens. Then came the push for access. She set the stage over a weekend. She was hypercritical of everything I did. I loaded the dishwasher inefficiently. I bought the wrong brand of almond milk, unsweetened vanilla instead of unsweetened original. She sighed, huffed, and rolled her eyes every time I entered a room. By Sunday night, she had established the premise. Nathan is failing at basic life tasks. Then the pitch. We were in the living room. She muted the TV. Nathan, we need to talk about the accounts. Which accounts? Your investment accounts. The premarital ones. I didn't look up from my tablet. What about them? I think we need to add my name. For safety. I looked up then. Safety? You're not all there sometimes, she said. Her voice dropped into that pitying, maternal register. You miss details. You're brilliant with code, sure, but real-world logistics? You struggle. What if you get locked out? What if you make a mistake and send money to the wrong place? I just want to be able to oversee it. Make sure we're secure. I analyzed the request. If I added her to the accounts, the funds would be commingled. In our jurisdiction, once separate property is commingled with a spouse, it becomes marital property. The prenup will be bypassed. She wouldn't just have oversight, she would have ownership. I have a wealth management team, Vanessa. They handle the oversight. They're strangers, Nathan. I'm your wife. I'm the only one who actually cares about us. Why are you being so defensive? Do you not trust me? That's the trap. If I say no, I don't trust you, I'm the villain. If I say, I do trust you, I have to sign. I'll think about it, I said. Don't think too long, she snapped, the mask slipping for a millisecond. I can't live knowing our future is in the hands of someone who can't even buy the right milk. I went to my office and locked the door. I sat in the dark and looked at the server lights blinking green. She didn't want to help me. She wanted to liquidate me. She viewed me as a resource that was difficult to mine because of the legal protections. She was looking for a workaround. Direct confrontation yields unpredictable results. If I fought her, she would escalate. She would make my life hell. She would drag out a divorce for years, claiming emotional abuse, claiming I was hiding assets, which I wasn't, but proving a negative is expensive. I needed her to initiate the break. I needed her to run for the exit. The best way to get someone to drop a heavy object is to make it burn their hands. If she wanted a dumb husband, I would give her the dumbest man who ever lived. If she thought I was incompetent with money, I would show her catastrophic incompetence. I initiated the honeypot protocol. The objective was simple: simulate a total financial collapse caused by my own stupidity. Make the debt look radioactive. Make staying married to me a financial death sentence for her. I spent 3 weeks building the infrastructure. I didn't want to just print out fake bank statements. That's amateur. Vanessa is nosy. If she suspected something, she would look at my screens. I built a local web environment. I cloned the user interface of a popular, high-risk cryptocurrency exchange. I hosted it on a local server that was air-gapped from the actual internet, but accessible via my desktop. I wrote a script to generate a trading history. I backdated it 6 months. The script showed a pattern of aggressive, leveraged entry into obscure altcoins. I created a narrative in the data. A man trying to prove he's a genius, doubling down on bad bets to recover losses, and spiraling into margin debt. I named the fake coin Vortex. I plotted a graph that looked like a cliff dive. Then, I started the behavioral conditioning. I stopped shaving. I wore the same hoodie 3 days in a row. I developed a tic, bouncing my leg nervously whenever she entered the room. "What is wrong with you?" she asked one morning. "You look like a junkie." "Just the market," I mumbled, staring at my cereal. "It's volatile. Adjusting positions." "You better not be messing anything up," she warned. "I've got it under control. I need to find some liquidity." "Liquidity? What does that mean?" "Cash," I said. "I need cash to cover the spread." She narrowed her eyes. "Don't you dare touch the joint checking." I won't. I waited for the market to drop. The real market was actually flat, but my private simulation was crashing. The execution day was a Tuesday. I left a document on the printer. It was a notice of margin call generated by my fake exchange. It demanded an immediate deposit of $450,000 to avoid liquidation of assets. I went out for a walk. I sat in my car around the block to give her time to snoop. When I came back, she was standing in the kitchen. She held the paper. Her face wasn't red. It was pale. This was fear. Nathan. I froze. I channeled every ounce of beta male incompetence she had projected onto me for years. I slumped my shoulders. You found it. What is this? For $100,000. It's a leverage call, I said, my voice shaking. I thought the coin was going to moon. The white paper was solid Ness. It was supposed to be the next Ethereum. You bet the inheritance? I leveraged it. I corrected. I took out loans against the portfolio to buy more crypto. I wanted to surprise you. I wanted to buy you a summer house. And where is the money now? Gone. I whispered. It's all gone. And the exchange is demanding more. If I don't pay, they sue. They can come after everything. Everything. If they prove I was trading on behalf of the household, they could come after the house. Maybe your car. This was the lie that mattered. Legally, debt acquired by one spouse in their own name usually stays with them. But she didn't know the nuances of debt collection law. She just knew debt collectors were bad. My car, she screeched. My savings. I don't know. I yelled back, feigning panic. I'm trying to fix it. I just need you to sign that power of attorney so I can move money from your savings to cover the... No. She stepped back as if I were contagious. Vanessa, please. We're in this together. No, we are not, she said. Her voice was ice. I'm not in this. You did this. You play your stupid games, and now you've lost. She walked out. She didn't try to help. She didn't ask to see the charts to see if there was a recovery plan. She went into survival mode. For the next 3 days, I ramped up the pressure. I had creditors' automated scripts I wrote using a distinct VoIP number called a house phone. I would answer, yell, I don't have it, and slam the receiver down. I left fake legal notices on my desk. Intent to levy. She watched me with a mixture of disgust and terror. I saw the calculation happening behind her eyes. She was estimating her exposure. She was realizing that being married to dumb Nathan was no longer an inconvenience. It was a liability. She filed on a Friday. She served me the papers herself. She had them drawn up by a shark of a lawyer, but the terms were surprisingly simple. She wanted a clean break. Fast. I can't do this, Nathan, she said. She was packing a suitcase. I can't live with a gambler. I can't have my credit ruined because you're an idiot. I can fix it. I pleaded, keeping up the act. Just give me time. No time. I want out. The lawyer drew up an agreement. We split the house equity 50/50ths. We keep our own cars. And most importantly, she jabbed a finger at the document. We keep our own assets and our own debts. I don't touch your crypto mess. You don't touch my savings. Clean break. I pretended to read it slowly, my hands trembling. This was the clause. Clause 6.2. Equitable distribution of debts. It stated explicitly that each party assumed full responsibility for any liabilities held in their individual names and indemnified the other party against all claims. She was so terrified of the fake $450,000 debt that she was forcing me to sign a document that confirmed my premarital assets were solely mine. She was legally walling herself off from my fortune to escape my imaginary bankruptcy. I don't know, Ness. This seems final. It is final. Sign it, or I call your parents and tell them you lost the family fortune. Okay, I said. Okay, I'll sign. I signed the papers on the kitchen island. She moved out that afternoon. She took the good TV, the espresso machine, and the rug from the hallway. I let her take them. It was a small price to pay for a 100% retention of my equity. The divorce process was a speed run. Because we had an uncontested agreement. The judge rubber-stamped it. We sold the house. The market was high. We split the proceeds. She took her check and bought a condo, feeling like a genius who had escaped the Titanic just before it hit the iceberg. I moved into a rental for a month while I closed on my new place. The silence in my life was heavy, but it wasn't lonely. It was peaceful. I could work. I could optimize. I didn't have to perform incompetence anymore. The reveal wasn't something I rushed. I waited until the divorce decree was absolute, past the appeal window. I wanted the ink to be dry and fossilized. 6 months post-divorce, Vanessa was still in my social periphery. I heard through the grapevine that she was telling people the tragic story of how she had to leave me because I had a gambling addiction and blew my inheritance on internet money. She was painting herself as the survivor. I decided to correct the record. Not with words, but with data. I updated my LinkedIn. I hadn't just been playing games during our marriage. I had been the lead architect on a new algorithmic trading platform. The platform had just been acquired by a major investment bank. As a principal stakeholder, my payout was public record if you knew where to look in the SEC filings. I posted the press release. Nathan X, appointed as Chief Technology Officer of Redacted, Capital following $45 million acquisition. I also posted a photo of my new view. I had bought a property on the cliffs overlooking the ocean. Brutalist concrete, floor-to-ceiling glass, server-grade fiber optics running into the basement. In the foreground of the photo, my feet were up on the desk. No shoes. The caption was simple, system optimized. Latency 0. The phone call came 2 hours later. It wasn't her. It was Mark, the husband of one of her friends. "Nathan," he said. He sounded breathless. "Is that real?" "Is what real, Mark?" "The acquisition. The house." Vanessa is freaking out. She's at our place. She's saying you lied to the court. "I didn't lie to anyone," I said, leaning back in my chair. "I disclosed all my real assets. The court has my full financial affidavit. The debt she was running from? It was a projection, a simulation I was running for work. She saw a graph, assumed I was broke, and panicked. She says you tricked her into signing away her share. She drafted the agreement, Mark. She demanded we keep our assets separate. She forced me to sign it to protect her own credit score. She bet against me. She thought I was the dumb husband. She shorted the stock, and the market moved against her. She's screaming about a lawyer. Let her, I said. The decree is final. The assets were premarital anyway. She just waived her claim to the appreciation. Tell her to read clause 6.2 again. I hung up. I looked out at the ocean. The waves were crashing against the rocks in a chaotic, turbulent pattern. But if you watched them long enough, if you tracked the swell and the wind, you could predict exactly where the water would break. It's all just physics. I turned back to my screens. I had a new project to build. Thank you for listening. That brings today's story to a close. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing. See you next time.